what's up everybody? So we are due for a Deadlock patch basically any day now. It's been confirmed that we should expect it by the end of January. And I think it's reasonable to expect that we're going to get a big wave of new players coming in to play the game. But I thought it might be useful to go over the, I think it's like, what, 32 heroes that we have right now? 7, 14, 21, 28, plus 4 is 32, yeah. So to go over the 32 heroes that we have in the game right now and just sort of rank them by like how difficult I think they are to pick up and learn, just in case you or a buddy is interested in picking up the game. I'm not going to be like super in-depth because again there are a lot of heroes to get through, but we are going to be placing them on a handy dandy tier list here. So the way that I've kind of thought about this is ordering them by like how many games I think it would take to learn them. So 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20 games, or the mythical you already know how to play this hero category. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to talk about these, I think it's like 6 heroes that we're getting in the new patch because I haven't played them. And yeah, I'll try to leave timestamps so you can either go to the characters that you're interested in and hear, you know, sort of my brief thoughts, or you can do what I do with all of these videos, which is just skip to the end and judge the tier list without any context at all, and then yell at the content creator. I can handle it. I can handle it. All right, so up first we have Abrams, who is something of a poster boy for the game. Let's just talk about his abilities real quick. So first, as like a gun, he's got a shotgun, which sort of automatically makes him want to play a little bit closer to the targets. His one is this like AoE, it's called Siphon Life. It does exactly what it says on the tin. Basically, if you're in a group of creeps or if you're in a group of enemies, he's going to leech life and sort of heal himself. His 2 is a shoulder charge. And if he hits an enemy and say he pins him to the wall, he's going to stun the enemy. His 3 is basically just a passive that says, I am tankier than you. Gives him some damage regeneration. And then his 4 is this move where he goes up in the air, he targets an area, and then he comes down with a big ol' slam, right? So I think on the surface there's nothing particularly weird about his kit, but the end result is that all of your abilities require you to get really up close and personal. So Abrams is either in or he's really out. Like he's not doing a lot of like poking from this kind of range. He doesn't have any abilities to like harass people with. He's either in and he's sending it, or he's really out. You know, typically if you're like in the laning phase, you're laning in this mid lane, you'll kind of stand behind this veil and you can attack the creeps from here. And if the enemy team tries to walk down these steps and they're looking at you and they're trying to force you out of here, you can shoulder charge them into either this pillar or into this one over here. And if they try to push you in here, you could shoulder charge them into one of these 2 walls to stun them. And beyond that, because everything requires you to be in this range, I think a lot of the like typical Abrams builds revolve around like light melees and then heavy melees, and you're interacting with this parry system. And that kind of stuff is going to be somewhat unintuitive if you're coming from an Overwatch or like a Marvel Rivals kind of environment. And I also think the fact that he's either in or really out, you might struggle with it if you are if you're new to the game and you don't know what all the heroes do and you don't have the knowledge to do like accurate threat assessment yet. So I think for those reasons, I personally am going to put him in this 6 to 10 sort of category. So up next we have Bebop, and this is probably the first one that's going to be a little bit controversial. So in terms of abilities, his 1 is this punch. You'll kind of see what it does later on, but it does a bit of damage and it knocks the opponent back, whoever you're targeting. His 2 is this bomb, who he can attach to any unit, including himself. But you just target somebody, you attach them, and then after a set amount of time, the bomb detonates. Pretty straightforward. And then his 3 is a hook. So you target somebody, you hook them over, right? All of that is pretty self-explanatory. Let's do no cooldowns. And also to talk about his gun, it's a little bit unintuitive, right? So he has a wind-up time. You see the little bar in the middle, and then the beam comes out. And the beam is, I mean, once the beam's firing, there's nothing like particularly weird about, but the fact that there's like a delay and it doesn't just shoot as soon as you click, that might be a little bit of trouble to navigate. But in general, like the stuff that you're going to do is you like hook somebody, you look away so that they end up behind you, you bomb them, you punch them towards your team or into a tower or what have you. Oh, I bombed myself. on the surface, like, that's not particularly complicated, but there are a couple of nuances. Like, let's say we have an Infernus here that's friendly. You can also hook your allies, and so if you're not careful, you might end up potentially griefing your team by, like, pulling back an ally that's chasing an enemy and maybe, like, inadvertently denying a kill, you know, type thing. I also think that, like, some of the way that you harass in lane is potentially not the most intuitive. So a lot of the times in lane, you'll, like, put a bomb on somebody and then you'll punch them towards the target, because there's damage when the unit lands and then there's damage when the bomb goes off. And so you sort of have to do this, like, vectoring thing where if somebody's over here and there's a creep right here, okay, I need to stand on this side of the creep so that I can punch it in that direction, right? This is one character where, like, if you're on the receiving end of it, it feels completely brain dead, because if you get hit by a single hook, you could just straight up die for it. And even if you don't get hit by a hook, it's kind of annoying to, like, have to consistently dodge the, like, bomb and then punch from a creep. But, like, all of these tools together, I do think Bebop takes a little bit of practice, a little bit of work. His ult is also, like, pretty straightforward. It's a big beam. You shoot it. It has, like, a AoE. I don't know if you can see the circle around where it's landing. But it goes for a little while, and it reaches a really far distance and whatnot. So that's pretty easy. That's pretty intuitive. But, like, the rest of the kit, I'm not going to say it's hard, but it takes a little bit of practice, and there is some room for error there. So for those reasons, I am going to say that Bebop for me is in this, like, 11 to 15 range. Controversial, I know, because, like, on its face, I don't think he's that hard, but, like, some of the ways that he interacts with items, like doing the bomb refresh bomb, you know, sort of stuff, and, you know, whether you attach it to yourself and then go in, or whether you attach it to somebody and then you, like, punch them away, there's, like, some nuance, there's some finickiness to it. So that's my take. Up next we have Billy, and I feel like his kit is honestly pretty easy to wrap your head around. His one is this big slam that he does on the ground. It knocks people up, and it also counts as a melee attack, so any kind of items that you're using that boost your melee damage is going to enhance this move. You have your 2, which is where you ram somebody and then you sort of knock him and yourself up into the air. You have your 3, which is where you crack a big old bottle on your head and then it amplifies you in a couple of ways. One, your melee attacks increase your max health, so if you do it again, you get more max health. And then your bullet damage is enhanced against enemies that have been meleeed, right? Because every time you melee somebody, you give them this little debuff right here. So those are his main abilities, and then his 4 is a tether. You activate it, it tethers everybody around you, and then it pulls all the enemies that have been tethered towards you and gives them a big slow. It does a good bit of damage, right? That used to be, like, basically unbreakable. I'm gonna be honest, they've nerfed it, but it still feels basically unbreakable to me. But overall, this character is really simple. Like, you see somebody, you ram them, you slam them down, you shoot them a bunch, you do some melee attacks, and this, that, and the other. It does still kind of suffer from the Abrams problem, where, like, you're interacting with this melee system of, like, using lights to bait out a parry, and then once they do the parry's on cooldown, you can go for, like, the heavier attacks. And so much of this character is based around melee, both with the 1, again, scaling with, like, the melee damage and the melee based items that you have, and the 3, you know, giving you additional max health for every melee attack that you land. So but, like, all in all, this character is pretty simple. I am going to be putting him in the, like, 1 to 5 games category. Up next we have Calico. This is a character that I particularly like. Her 1 is a bunch of sticky grenades that she throws out. It sticks to a target and then it deals a good amount of damage. Her 2 is like a dash into, like, a swipey claw type move. This move does do the same thing Billy's does, where it scales with any kind of melee-based items that you have. So you will sometimes see that being taken into account with her builds. Her 3 turns her into Ava, and this, you know, maybe at first this feels a little unintuitive, It's particularly good for like running to go break boxes, especially like once you get points into it, it becomes like very fast. Like I don't have any movement items right now and be able to get down here and break these pretty quickly, right? And beyond that, if you do buy like, let's say you buy Fleetfoot, you're able to get around the map very, very quickly, right? And if you're off farming, you can like see a fight that's happening on the minimap and you can respond to it quite fast. Her 4 does a good bit of damage around her, and she becomes intangible. You can't hit her with anything, and then after a set amount of time, she'll detonate again and do like another round of spirit damage around her. So it pairs really well with her 2, where she'll do like a swipe into the ult, and then she's got another detonation after that. Especially if you do like this kind of stuff. It is quite good. And again, if you have something like Fleetfoot, you know, let's say the enemy tries to engage on you, do 4, you Fleetfoot, you just try to walk away from it and see if you can get away, avoid enough damage long enough that you can get into this Ava form, and then again try to get out of the situation. So she can you know, she can be off farming, and because of the Ava, she can respond very quickly to fights, and she also has a lot of good ability to like get in, do a bunch of burst damage, and then disengage. I think the character is she's like somewhat difficult. I think there are a couple of different builds that you can go for. There's like the really bursty like spirit assassin kind of builds, and then there is the sort of late game carry gun damage builds where she's leaning more on the power of this like fully auto scatter shotgun type thing. But I think she's going to reward you for like really paying attention to the map and being able to respond to things quickly. I think she's going to reward you for like knowing who the targets that you could like reasonably kill and reasonably burst down are. And she'll reward you for knowing, you know, what games it's appropriate to go for the AP assassin kind of build, or the physical damage late game carry kind of build. So those are things that are a little bit difficult. And also the scatter bombs, it can be difficult to like get all of them to land and really maximize the damage. You kind of have to be up close and personal. You kind of have to aim them a little bit low, because sometimes they'll go up. Like if I aim at this person's feet, it'll, you know, I typically find that it'll connect a little bit more consistently. But yeah, some of those things are a little bit hard to do. So for those reasons, I am putting her alongside Abrams in this sort of 6 to 10 games tier. All right, up next we have Doorman, and for a long time I thought this was like the most difficult character in the game, because like the ceiling for him is so high, and you'll kind of see why when we get to his abilities. So the first thing is his revolver. It's just a single shot, and the bullet speed is a little bit slower than like say Holliday's revolver. Which we'll get to later. But because of that, you kind of have to lead your shots a little bit more, and it can be a little bit finicky. The number 1 ability is the bell, which he'll throw out, and then if he shoots the bell, he'll detonate it. I'm just going to do the 3 first. His 3 is this trolley cart, which you can use to push enemies in certain directions and what have you. And then his 4 is basically just straight up a banish. So you can't see it. What it really does is it sends this enemy to their own like separate map where they have to do, I'm gonna call it a jump puzzle. It's not really a jump puzzle, but they have to get from one side of the hotel to the other side of the hotel. And really functionally what it does for you as the doorman is you get to just like target an enemy hero and just remove them from the fight for a set amount of time. Which is really not like it's very, very powerful, but it's not particularly complicated to use. The real thing that made him seem so complicated to me is his 2. So you can put a door somewhere, you can put a door somewhere else, and then it's portal, right? It's the source engine, it's portal, right? So I see this and I'm like, okay, this is the hardest character I've ever seen. But like because you could also do stuff like this where you push them through with the trolley, right? I don't even know where he went. Did he go in here? He did. Because that door is at an angle, so I guess it sent him out at this angle. But I think ultimately, like, 3 out of these 4 abilities are really not that complicated. Like, you throw out a bell, you ring the bell. You use the cart, it pushes people away. You push a 4, it banishes somebody. Like these tools are not particularly complex. Yes, it will take a little bit of time to fully unlock, to fully unlock the power of these doors, but I think I vastly overestimated like how difficult and how complex this character is. Still very complicated, but for me, I'm gonna personally put him around this 11 to 15 tier. I know it's probably heresy to put him alongside Bebop, but like, it's my tier list. You make a fucking video. How about that? All right, up next we have Drifter. He has a gun that sort of... It's just his claws. It's not a gun. He slashes at the air and he sends out these 3 projectiles that hit people. One thing to really note about his gun is that it has limited range. So like, I'm not hitting this this Infernus back there because I'm just not close enough to be able to do it. So that is important to note. His 1 is this like melee rend where he'll hit people. Again, kind of like some of the other characters we've talked about. This does scale with some of the melee damage that you can have. His 2 is kind of interesting. It's like this line skill shot that he throws out, and then it puts a dot on the opponent, and then so long as his bar is available, you can push 2 again to teleport behind the opponent, Omayuwa. And that's neat. His 3, let me make sure I remember. Isolated heroes leave a trail as they... Yeah. So this is the one that like allows you to sort of sniff out. You get to sniff out heroes that are alone who happen to be low on health, and then you gain bonus move speed to move towards them. Drifter is a character that will kind of like go off and hunt enemies that are alone because he gets bonus damage whenever he is fighting somebody that's alone. And he also gets stacks whenever he happens to kill somebody. So if I kill this guy, the 3 should get more points, right? On isolated hero kill, plus 4% permanent weapon damage. Yeah, so because this Infernus isn't isolated, he's got another homie back there. I didn't get any, but if you pick somebody off while they're alone, you get additional stacks. The 4 is really powerful. It'll be kind of hard to tell what it does, but you do this, and then all of the enemies that are in the area that get hit by that like wave going out, they have vastly reduced vision radius. They don't share vision with the other allied heroes like you typically would in a MOBA. All you can see is like what's immediately around you, and it can be particularly scary if you're like in the middle of a team fight and suddenly you can't see what's happening. It is very, very good, but this character isn't tremendously complex. Like his 1 is something that does damage to people near him. His 2 is a line skill shot that allows you to teleport behind people, and it's a dot. And then really you're just left clicking on people to do a lot of like physical damage to them. Like it's not particularly complicated. I think the thing that makes it complicated is that his job, his role is to really like go and find and pick off those isolated enemy heroes that are alone, like farming the jungle and whatnot. And because that is like a more nuanced ask that is really only asked of him to a degree, like other heroes can do it, but he's the only one where that is like the thing that he does, right? I do think that that makes him a little bit more complicated, where like his kit isn't particularly difficult. So like again, I am going to put him kind of in this 6 to 10 games category. His abilities aren't like hard to wrap your head around, but like the mission statement of finding people that are alone and killing them while they're alone is a little bit harder to wrap your head around. So up next we have Dynamo. Dynamo is pretty self-explanatory. He's got a 1. You use it, it knocks people up in the air. That's pretty good. He's got a 2. It's like, I guess you can call it a dash, but not really. We'll talk about that in a minute because it's definitely the most unintuitive part of his kit. His 3 is just an AoE heal that heals him and any heroes that are around him. And then his 4 is the fuck you, I'm winning this team fight ultimate, where it just locks everybody that's around him in place, deals a healthy amount of damage, and really is just like combo fodder for any of his ally heroes that have any like AoE damaging abilities, right? Especially if you do things like extend the radius of it, or you extend the duration of it, like it wins a team fight, especially if you catch like 3 or more people in it. So again, to talk about this quantum entanglement thing, for some reason it doesn't work with this ally hero here. Maybe no, it's not a levels thing. So typically what it would do is like you and any ally heroes that are near you would do this little movement thing. As you can tell, it's very slow and it doesn't go very far. So this is not a tool that you're using for movement. This is a tool that you're using to become like briefly intangible, right? Like if Lash is up in the air, we haven't gotten to him yet. Is there an example I can use that we have used yet? Basically, there will be instances, there will be ability. Bebop's a good example. Let's say like Bebop has hooked one of your teammates and he put a bomb on him and punched him back towards you. The bomb is about to go off. Well, you can use quantum entanglement so that he doesn't have a body for the bomb to go off. Like the bomb might go off, but it doesn't damage anybody because you literally don't exist for while you're dashing, right? So there are weird things you can do with this. You can like help your teammates like through geometry. Like if somebody's right here and I'm over here, I could still wrap them up in my quantum entanglement and get them out of a sticky situation. Again, it's not a movement thing. You're not really using it to like, it doesn't go through stuff like the dash doesn't. The ability to get allies does. But like, I don't know. You use it to dodge abilities is really what you do. I don't think this character is particularly complicated. The 4 is really like the reason that you pick the character, right? You pick the character because you want to have some supporting abilities. You want to bring some crowd control to the team. You want to be able to heal your allies. You want to be able to help and save people. And really, if you push 4, you get to win a team fight like a decent amount of the time, right? I'm gonna lower the volume just in case it's too loud. But yeah, I think that's Dynamo. I personally, I think, you know, knowing where to place your stuff requires a little bit of knowledge. I'm gonna put him in this 1 to 5, but I mean, you can make an argument for him to be up here too. Up next, we have Grey Talon, who is a character that I haven't played in a little while, but I used to play this character a lot. I really enjoy him. He's got one that is like a line skill shot nuke that will hit people from a very far away and doesn't have like drop off damage scaling. So he's like one of the premier, I would argue maybe the premier sniper. I mean, Vindicta has a sniper, but she really leans into that with her ultimate. He's doing it like basically every time one is off cooldown. His 2 is this leap that will put him up into the air, and then it turns his left click into like a spread shot, where normally his left click would just be like a single arrow at a time. And then he has this 3 where he puts out a trap. After a set amount of time, it'll become active and it'll detonate, and it'll kind of snare and slow people that happen to be hit inside of it. His 4 is this owl, which is most similar to like a Junkrat tire, basically. Right, you fly it at people and then it detonates and explodes. This character is not tremendously complicated. I think like being able to hit your ones takes a little bit of practice. Not a tremendous amount of practice, but a little bit of practice. And I think most recently, like the gun build has taken off, where you lean into the fact that you basically have this free spread shot and you just rain hell down upon people. Both builds are pretty scary. He's definitely not a tank. But there's nothing confusing about his kit. I think he's relatively straightforward. For those reasons, I am going to put him in the 1 to 5 game category. I think his toolkit, you know, it takes a couple of games to get used to it, but not any more than 5, I wouldn't say. Up next, we have Haze, who I think is definitely gonna make the you already know this character kind of list. Not because she's like the easiest character in the game to play, I wouldn't argue, but because every version of the tools on this character are something that you've probably seen from another hero shooter already. So her 1 is the sleep dagger. She throws it out and it puts people to sleep. It's particularly nice because like you throw a dagger and then you're able to get a free charge punch on somebody, which is a healthy amount of damage. Her 2 is the smoke bomb, which turns her not like entirely invisible, but mostly invisible to the people around her, and it allows her to get in the range of an enemy unit, slow them, and then hopefully get a pick on people. Her 3 is basically just an enhancement onto her auto attacks. You shoot somebody, it puts stacks on them. You can get up to 40 stacks, and then it gets additional weapon damage per stack that's already on the target. So that's pretty cool. And then her 4, you've seen this ultimate before. She spins in a circle. She does damage to everybody that's in the circle. It's not, it's nothing new to you. Like, this is a character that exists. Your job, because your left click is so strong, you're going to use it to like farm camps a lot of the time and to push out waves. You're going to get as strong as you possibly can. And then whenever the time calls for it, you're going to go invis, you're going to walk into a lane, you're going to stealth somebody, stun them, punch them, ult them, and hopefully they die, right? This character, you've seen her before, so I am going to put her in the you already know how to play this character kind of list. Up next is Holliday, and this is a weird one. So she has this barrel that she can roll out, and kind of like Doorman, she can shoot it to make it detonate. But beyond that, a lot of the ways that you'll use this barrel usually is you'll push 1 and then immediately hit Q to punch it. And at that point, the barrel is already activated. You don't have to like shoot it again. She has her 2, which is this little jump pad, and then if you jump on it, you obviously jump through the air, but you also have like a landing AoE damage radius. So if I do this, and I land on this fella, boom, it does damage around him. This is also part of the reason why, like, if you jump off this and you do barrel, punch the barrel down, you get damage there. That can be relatively easy, but like part of the like punching the barrel is it's kind of hard to know and control where it goes. Her 3 is a passive. Basically what it does is it gives her bonus damage to headshots with a cooldown. So it's asking a good amount of you as a player to consistently land those headshots to get the most out of that passive. And then her 4 is this lasso, where after a very short delay she'll throw it out, she'll lasso somebody, and then she can sort of walk around with them. I would say if you do plan to play this Holliday character, sometimes you can end up griefing your team by like moving around with the person too much while they're trying to shoot them. Sometimes the correct answer is just to lasso them and then hold them in place for the players on your team to nuke them and then, you know, get them, right? But because you've got like this weird stuff with like punching the barrel to make sure it goes in the right place, and you've got this jump pad that you have to use, and you have to maneuver through the air properly to land on top of people, and it's a very complicated character. You have to consistently land headshots. Like, she's asking a lot of you as a player. So this is the first like 16 to 20 game character. I think she's pretty demanding, I would say. Up next we have Infernus, who's the poor sap that we've been beating up on this whole time. His kit's honestly pretty straightforward. If you shoot somebody for long enough, you will ignite them with this passive 3 that you have. It just does spirit damage based on the amount of spirit that you have. His 1 is a relatively short range line skill shot. It applies napalm to the target that's going to slow them for about 4 seconds, a little bit of time. And they also take increased damage while they are covered in napalm. The 2 is a flame dash, where you get increased movement speed and you leave a trail of fire behind you. That is again going to scale with spirit damage, and you can use it to engage, you can use it to get out of sticky situations. It's honestly pretty straightforward. And then the 4 is a delay explosion that is going to do damage and stun everybody around you. So a lot of the time you'll like use 4, you'll dash into a bunch of players, you'll use the speed boost to like ensure that anybody who's trying to get away, you can like catch back up to them. And yeah, he just does a lot of damage. Really, everything about this character screams spirit, so there's not a tremendous amount of complexity to the way that you build him. You like coat people in napalm, you ignite them, you use this sometimes to like farm camps, sometimes to get away, sometimes to push waves. You left click on people, you run in, you explode. Everything about this kid is honestly very self-explanatory, so I am putting him in the you already know how to play this character tier. All right, up next we have Ivy. Ivy is an interesting character. So she has a 1 that she throws out. It puts out these little brambles that do a healthy amount of spirit damage and also slow any targets that are inside of it. So it's basically just a nice way to like deny certain areas of the map. Her 2 is a tether that she can put on somebody. It increases her and her tethered allies' fire rate. It gives you some bullet lifesteal, and it also replicates some percentage of the healing that you do over to the person that you're tethered to. And that would include, like, yes, the bullet lifesteal that you've gotten from the ability, but also any sort of healing items that you're using in tandem with it. Her 3 turns her into the stone gargoyle. After a set amount of time, she slams down and it stuns everybody that's around her. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then her 4 is really interesting. She can target an ally, or she can target nobody at all. She picks them up, and then after, you know, she can fly around. She has full control over this, and then she can drop an ally down, and it does a tremendous amount of damage. I think there is some nuance with this character. Like, most of the abilities are pretty self-explanatory. You throw this out when you want to take control of an area and deal damage to people that are in it. You tether to somebody who is going to get the most out of the increased fire rate, and then you're able to replicate some healing on them. You use 3 either when you're in trouble and you want to, like, try to dodge something, because you can't be hit while you're this stone gargoyle. You can only be hit while you're in this form. So you can use it to dodge stuff, or you can use it to crowd control, like an AoE if they happen to be clumped up. I think the most nuance comes from the 4, because your first instinct is to use it to, like, pick up and then drop people on an enemy team. Particularly, like, the first thought is, I'm gonna pick up my tank and I'm gonna drop them on the enemy team, and then they're gonna be able to CC people. That works some percentage of the time, but I think more often the way that I see it be really useful is just by, like, picking somebody up and flying away, just to get them out of a tricky situation. Right. So for that reason, it requires a little bit of, like, threat assessment to know when you want to use it in one type of way and when you want to use the ult in another type of way. I had originally had Ivy in, like, this 1 to 5 category, but the more I think about it, I think she kind of is in this, like, 6 to 10 just for the ult alone. Up next we have Kelvin, and this is another character where, like, 3 of the 4 abilities are really simple, and then the 4th one throws it, you know, entirely out the window. His 1, you throw it out. Does this even slow people, or is it just AoE? It does move slow. Okay. I assume because it's ice, but you throw it out, it slows people, it does a bit of damage. That's pretty self-explanatory. His 2, oh, I accidentally canceled it. His 2 is this ice path. I guess you use it to travel around the map pretty quickly, and it also leaves a path that, like, other people on your team can use to follow you if they needed to. You have this 3, which is an ice beam, which is really good for harassing people in lane. It does apply a movement slow, I know, because it has fucked me enough times. The ability that really throws a wrench in all this is his 4, the little snow globe. So you can go on somebody, you push 4, and then you put yourself in the ice shelter. It doesn't do anything to the enemy inherently, but it, like, locks them in a place where they can't get out. And it applies so much health regen to you and any allies that are inside of it that it's really, really difficult for them to win that duel at that point. The reason why, just as a spoiler alert, I'm going to put Kelvin in, like, this 11 to 15 tier. The entire reason is because this 4 is undeniably one of the most powerful ultimates in the game, but it is also one of the highest, like, if you use it poorly, you can grief your team incredibly hard. Like, you can single-handedly lose a team fight for your team as much as you can win a team fight for your team. So I think the nuance around the snow globe and, like, the demand that it has on you, the importance that you sort of carry on your shoulder with using that responsibly. If you use it poorly, everybody is going to see it. There are a couple of characters like this. Everybody is going to know if you use it poorly, and they are going to yell at you and call you mean things. So I think on the surface, like, yeah, the 3 of these abilities are really easy, but just for the importance of using the globe alone and some of the, like, unintuitiveness of it, I'm going to put him in this 11 to 15 category. All right, up next we have Lady Geist, who's pretty interesting. Her whole, like, theme revolves around, like, using her health as a resource and then gaining the health back. So her 1 and 3 will use health, so we'll just focus on those first. Her 1, she throws out a bomb. It's a bomb. It does damage in a radius. It's pretty, it hurts. Her 3 is this line thing. It doesn't do a lot of damage on its own, but it applies a debuff that makes the enemies that you hit receive more damage from basically all sources. So that can be quite scary. So those two cost health, right? Or two is this life leech. So you get into a radius, you drain life from the target. If they get out of this range, which I don't even think I can walk out of it in time, but there's a range where they can get to where the tether will break and you just won't leech life anymore. But it's a life leech. It's pretty self-explanatory. Her 4 is the real interesting thing. So I don't think... Can you grief yourself with this? No. But what it typically does is it'll like exchange the percentage of health that you're at with the percentage of health that the opponent is at, right? So if you're like 10% health and the enemy is at full health, you like run around a corner, they'll like push you around here, and then you hit 4, you hit them, and then suddenly you have full health and they have 10% health, right? And you're like, wow, that's bullshit. So you just can't trade this person one-on-one? Well, no, you could buy like an item like Silencing Wave, right, to just silence her and make her so that she can't cast the ability. Like there are answers to that kind of thing, but like on its face, yes, the ability is kind of bullshit. Most of these abilities, like the bomb, the line shot, the life leech, these are all pretty easy to wrap your head around. The 4, I'm not gonna like lie to you and tell you it's incredibly complicated, but because the whole point, the way that you get value out of it is on being low health and then exchanging with the opponent, you're kind of encouraged to like dance on this knife's edge. Like she'll stay in lane at times where another character would be compelled to go back, just because if the opponent tries to push her and finish her off, it's like a bait. Like they'll lose that interaction some of the time. So because she's asking you to dance on a knife's edge, I do think she's a little bit harder than some of her other like abilities would lead you to believe, but I don't think she's like tremendously complicated. All right, up next we have my boy, the Lash. This guy's sick. I've heard some people describe him as like really hard to use, and I personally just don't see it. I don't think he's that complicated, maybe because I have over 100 games on him, but I think his kit's relatively straightforward. His gun is basically a burst fire assault rifle. You'll shoot 3 shots at a time. His 3, just in order of like importance, I think. His 3 is this flog. So he'll hit if there's like a bunch of units in like a cone, he'll whip everybody in the cone. It does spirit damage, and it also recovers some of his health based off of the spirit damage that it does. His 2 is like an ability to leap in the air, right? So you're able to move around really freely with this hero. The thing is that this isn't like a Winston leap, right? So I can't just like look over here and use 2. He has to specifically target a unit to be able to do the jump. So we'll kind of get into it, but part of the reason why he could be perceived as more complicated is because it's really easy to engage on enemies, but not as easy to disengage if there's like no creeps behind you, if there's no ally behind you, if there's nothing for you to tether to. Noteworthy, he can tether onto like towers and stuff. So if the fight is like right here, he can still get out, but that's that. He also has this slam. The damage scales with how high up he was when he did the slam. So if I come like up here, that last one did 65 from the ground. If I do that one, I actually didn't see how much that did. Let me do it again. 112, right? So if I was even higher, I would get to do more damage. And then later on, this as you put points into it, it becomes crowd control. It'll do a knockup. Right. That's quite good. And then the 4 is another one of these like big team fight winning ults. You'll jump in the air, you'll use 4, you get to like lock on to a number of targets, you throw everybody together, you CC them, and then you do your combo, right? I feel like, again, part of the nuance is that it's really easy for him to engage and not quite as easy for him to disengage, but he's got burst damage that happens in a cone, he's got burst damage that happens in a cone, and then he's got an ability that groups everybody together. So like, it's not difficult to understand what you want to do with the hero. It's just like he has like a power curve to him, right? So you kind of have to know like when you're strong enough to go and do those big things. And another thing, it's kind of like Kelvin, where like sometimes the range on this ult can be deceiving, where you like think that you're in range to be able to see somebody and you're just not. And if the Lash on your team jumps into the air, rings the bell like he's going to do his ult, and then doesn't grab anybody, everybody's going to notice. Everybody will notice. So I think like it's not a you already know how to play this hero kind of level, but I do think he's not tremendously difficult. All right, up next we have McGinnis. Her abilities are: 1, she can put out a turret, and it will target enemies that are in its radius and shoot them. That's pretty self-explanatory. When people shoot, people could shoot and kill this, and then when they do, they'll get souls for it. So that's like kind of something to keep in mind, but for the most part, you put out a turret, it shoots things. That's relatively self-explanatory. Her 2, she puts out something and it heals anybody that's in the area. It'll heal you, it'll heal your allies. It's a heal. It's pretty clear. Her 3 is a wall. So you'll see this thing go off, and then when she hits 3 again, she'll activate the wall. There's a little bit of nuance where, like, if enemy heroes are near it, then they'll receive damage when the wall goes up. So you're kind of encouraged to put the wall just behind them to where they're trapped in, but close enough to be able to get damage. And it can be a little bit finicky where, like, sometimes you'll end up making a wall that blocks off the enemies, like they're on the other side of it. Fortunately, if that does happen, you can just activate it again to make the wall go back down, so you don't grief your teammates too hard. And then her 4 is a barrage. She activates it, and then she shoots a barrage. She can walk and control where it goes. She can aim it up. It lasts a long time, and it does a lot of damage, right? She has like 2 main builds you'll see. One is very like spirit focused, where, you know, she'll put down a bunch of turrets, and then the turrets will do a tremendous amount of damage. The ult will do a little bit more damage. You know, really leaning into the turrets mostly. And the other is the more common one, where she goes full gun build. She does a lot of damage with her left click. As you can see, this minigun has like 66 bullets in it. She'll get even more. It'll have like over 100 bullets in it. And she'll just walk at you and train you with this minigun. She'll have like a ton of lifesteal. I'm gonna be so real. I think both of these builds I could train a chimpanzee to do. That is one of the easiest characters for sure. Up next we have Mina, and if you're a gooner, this is probably the reason you downloaded the game. She is pretty crazy. She is kind of like this hybrid carry kind of character, where she leans into her left click quite a bit, but is ultimately dealing mostly spirit damage. I think, how do we start? I think we start by talking about the ultimate, right? So she has this ult where she'll go into the air, and she'll do a barrage of bats down at people, and it does a tremendous amount of damage, and it also silences anybody who gets hit by one of the bats. The reason I bring that up first is because her passive plays a really big role in it. It's called Love Bites. You attack people, you get a stack, and then whenever you complete the stack, it goes on cooldown where you can't apply another thing of Love Bites. But whenever you do this to an enemy hero, you get additional stacks on your ult, so your next ultimate becomes more powerful. So early game, you're really incentivized to apply Love Bites to heroes, basically on cooldown as much as you possibly can, just to make your ultimate more and more powerful whenever you do use it. Her 2 is a really good movement ability, where you can aim it in any direction around you, and you basically have a teleport. It's not the fastest thing in the world, it's not the longest reach thing in the world, but the fact that she's intangible when she does it means that she can dodge a lot of things, kind of like the Dynamo ability, where like if I had a Bebop bomb on me, okay, I literally don't exist when the bomb goes off. And the fact that she has 2 means that it's incredibly annoying to try to catch this character, because again, they're not going very far away, but like if you throw a dash in between those, like she's gone. Her 1 is like this little swipey swipe. That's a little cone, and she's rewarded for killing units with it, like getting the last hit on them. I'm gonna be real, I can't remember how she's rewarded. Slash increasing, receive a heal for every target kill. Okay, so it heals her. So it's part of her sustain. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, love bites really, really important. You apply love bites basically on cooldown. You can do it on 2 different targets. You just can't like chain apply it to the one target until it comes back off cooldown. You apply love bites every chance you get. If people try to engage on you, you just go away. You use your 1 to try to last hit creeps to help you sustain in lane, and then your 4 is fucking obnoxious. Your ultimate can single-handedly win team fights. So very, very strong hero. I am going to say like 1 to 5 games. I don't think she's tremendously difficult. Love bites is a little bit weird, but all right, up next we have Mirage, who I think is one of the more interesting characters in the game for my tastes. His 1, he is able to launch scarabs at people, and the scarabs apply a dot that is a little bit finicky because it steals their max health, and it gives it to you. So when this clip started, we had 700 health, and because we hit somebody with the scarabs, our max health is increasing because we're stealing the max health from them. Pretty good. His 2 is this like line movement tornado that will suspend anybody that you pass through in the air. So it's particularly good if you're like in a bad position and people try to flank you. You get to like both get out and also knock up the people that were pursuing you. His 3 is, it has like a passive component. So you put marks on an enemy and you see that this number will tick up as we continue to attack. Here, we'll do it on a new target. So it has a 1, now it's 2, now it's 4, right? Then if you use it again, you detonate it, you do an amount of spirit damage. It doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot, but it can be really, really effective over like a long laning session, or as you start to buy items that help you spec into it. I think really the most interesting part of his kit is his 4. His 4 allows him to target an ally hero, right? Visible enemy here. Oh, okay. So you can... Okay. But you hit 4, you target a hero on the map. We're going to target this Infernus that we left back here with the Ivy earlier, and then we teleport to him. You might think to yourself, like, okay, well, what's the point of that? The point of it is that Mirage can be, like, off on his own, farming either in the woods or on, like, a solo lane or what have you. For basically most of the game, getting as much farm as possible. And then whenever a fight does break out, he's able to, if he wants to respond, just push forward, teleport to an ally, and suddenly he's at the fight. He didn't need to like position himself on the map appropriately to be there. So that is kind of the point of it. The upside is that you get to be off farming more of the game, and he's a really, really strong character the longer the game goes on because he scales really well with items and with, obviously, souls. The downside is that you kind of, quote-unquote, don't have an ultimate. Like, you don't have a Dynamo ult, you don't have a Mina ult, you don't have this, like, big, I push forward and I win the game ultimate. You just are able to be at every team fight. But that's only good as an ability if you, as a character, have been farming well enough to have the items to make you impactful once you're at the fight without, like, a big, I am winning the game now 4 button to push. So... I think for those reasons, I am going to put him in this like 11 to 15 category. His abilities are a little weird. They're not like unintuitive or counterintuitive or anything like that, but he's asking a decent amount from you. All right, Mo and Krill. He has a 1. He sort of runs in, he pushes 1, it does damage in an area around him, and he steals life from any of the targets that he hits. He has a 2 where he burrows, he gets a little bit of move speed, and then when he comes back up, he knocks people up and does spirit damage to them. He's got a 3 where you throw sand and then it disarms them. They're not able to shoot their guns for however long they've got the CC on them. And then his 4, he targets somebody and stun locks them for the entire rest of your team to just mollywop them. I'm gonna be real. My dog can play this character today, no training. All right, so you already know how to play this character. This guy's brain dead easy. All right, up next we have Paige. Paige is an interesting character. Her 1, she'll throw out a book, and then in a line, this dragon will go out and put a dot on everything. Particularly interesting because, like, if we're in this space, the dragon will kind of bounce off of the walls and go in kind of unpredictable ways. So it's a little bit unwieldy. You have to sort of envision the line that the dragon would go down, and account for that. Like there, it didn't even bounce off the wall. Like I figured it might. It kind of went up there. Her 2, let's see if I can come back here to show it off. It's honestly really self-explanatory. You target an ally, you put a shield on them. That's it. It can enable your carry to sort of go in and do their job a little bit more. Just enables aggression in general, and can also kind of save people in sticky situations. Her 3, she puts out an AoE, and then after a set amount of time, it'll root anybody that's in the area. I'm going to actually hit this completely immobile, standing still target now. Roots him in place, does a little bit of damage. It's just a good bit of CC. And then her 4 is this line AoE that will stun and knock up basically anybody that it comes in contact with. If you look at the minimap when I use this, you'll notice that the arrow is basically going all the way. So like if I go like all the way over here, maybe. Let's see. I think they're like right around there. If I use it, they should still get hit. Yeah. So she can use it from very, very far away. This character, I think she's honestly pretty complex. The 1 can be a little bit unpredictable. The 2 is only good if your carry is in sync with you and they know like what they're trying to do. The 3 is quite good on its own. There's really not a whole lot of work needed, and then the 4 is quite good on its own. But I think the other thing that is tricky with this character is her left click. So it's very slow projectile speed. It does a healthy amount of damage when it hits, but it's very, very slow projectile speed. So particularly in the laning phase, when you're focusing on killing the laning creeps and then also securing the souls that pop out, you have to sort of like preemptively see where the souls are going to be and put the projectile in the right place at the right time, which is a little bit difficult. I think overall this character is particularly difficult. Her abilities aren't quite as hard to use as like some of the other characters in this tier, like I guess Holliday's the only one here. I don't want to spoil anything else. But her auto attack also being like a little bit unreliable. I think it's reliable, but like it's hard to adjust to, right? So those things kind of move her into this like harder to play category, I think. Up next we have Paradox, which is a hero that I really want to learn how to play just based off of her visual design alone, but is a little bit unintuitive for reasons that we're about to get into. So her 1 is honestly pretty self-explanatory. She throws out a bomb, it does damage over time in a radius around it. That's pretty clear. Her 2, she puts up a wall and it slows, basically stops any bullets that come into contact with it. So when the enemy team is shooting into it, the bullets will get slowed. They don't entirely stop because the bullets will eventually come through, but there's plenty of time to like move out of the way. All right. Her 3 is this kinetic carbine, so it'll charge up, and then once it's full, you shoot somebody with it. It'll apply like an extreme movement slow, but very briefly. It doesn't last even half a second. Really, it's good for like coordinating with a partner who like a gray Talon who also has something that they want to snipe somebody with, because they're briefly basically immobilized. Like they're slowed, but they're basically immobilized, but only for a split second. It also combos really well into her ultimate, and I think the ultimate is one of the things that puts her into a harder category. So she doesn't target anybody, it's a skill shot. She does a skill shot, and then she swaps places with the opponent that she hits. I think it's particularly good in like a ganking or a skirmishing kind of situation, because if you and a teammate happen to come across like somebody who's alone, like boom, you target them, you swap positions with them. Now if they want to get out of the situation, they have to go through you typically, and your teammate is already in position to like help you with it. It becomes much less clear what to do if you're in like a 6v6 mid-fight type situation, because how do you get the most value out of swapping positions with somebody? I'm not entirely sure. You do get bonus value from swapping them through the wall, because I believe it silences. Maybe it doesn't silence right now, but enemies that touch the wall will be silenced for 2.5 seconds. It's one of the things that you unlock eventually. So if you do this, you swap them, and then they get silenced when they go through. They take damage. So there's like neat things that you can do there, but it's definitely not like Like a lot of the other ultimates are very clear. Like, I use this and it does a lot of damage to people and they die. Or I use this and it does a lot of CC to people and then they die. This is like a little bit more particular. Like, do I really want to use this, or am I just gonna get looked at by the entire enemy team and killed for doing it? So I think she is a little tricky. There's also this like weird movement tech. Let me see if I can do it. I don't know how to do it. I haven't tried to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. There's like weird kinetic carbine boosting that you can do that I never learned how to do, but it is really, really cool. And if you unlock that, she becomes like one of the more movement heavy characters in the game. But it's just like another like skill tech thing that you have to overcome. So for me personally, I think this is in this like 16 to 20 range. Up next, we have Pocket, who is also on the list of characters I will eventually want to play. If you've played Dota, this character is very reminiscent of Puck, and if you have not played Dota, pretend I didn't say that. His one is this barrage of missiles that he sends out. He sends out 4. And they do spirit damage, but also for each one that you hit, you get amplified damage yourself. You basically get a buff that amplifies your damage. So you want to hit as many of them as possible because it just makes him better whenever he's doing the entire rest of the fight. His 2 is this like big cloak that he sends out. It's a massive AoE, and then if he reactivates, he can teleport to wherever it is. His 3, he sort of hides away in this suitcase, and then after a set amount of time, it'll detonate. But he also becomes untargetable, right? So again, it's another one of those, oh, a Bebop bomb is on me. Okay, I just don't exist for a moment then, right? You can also do things where like, okay, I'm behind him, I'm sending this out, I'm detonating it, and then I'm teleporting away. So there was like never a good point for them to be able to hit me in the first place. We send this out. And then his 4 applies damage over time to everybody around you, all of the enemies around you. And one of the important things to note is that it lasts a really long time. It does a tremendous amount of damage, but it will not be lethal. So if you use this and then the enemy like walks away, they walk around a corner, they get out of it, it's not going to tick and kill them. You have to kill them with one of the other abilities or with a gun. And yeah. His gun is pretty reliable. It's a shotgun. It does good damage. Basically, every part of this character's kit is good. He's very, very mobile. He does a good amount of spirit damage. He can do a good amount of gun damage. The trickiness is like getting the most out of him between like, you know, having this AoE around him that makes him intangible, and having this thing that you want to like throw in one direction sometimes to be able to teleport out of situations, and throw in another direction sometimes to be able to engage in situations. This flurry where you like want to get as many of them to hit as possible so that your damage is amped, and also want to leverage like this like lighting animation that it puts him into. There's just like a lot of technical skill things that you can do with this character. He's asking a lot of you, so I am going to personally put him in this 16 to 20 list. Another character that I would really like to learn how to play sometime. Up next, we have 7, and 7 is kind of the all reliable beginner's first Deadlock hero, pub stomping kind of hero. Pretty self-explanatory. He's got a 1 that he throws out. It does damage around it. The orb will get slowed as it makes contact with particular enemies and also enemy creeps. But it's not particularly confusing. Even if you throw it at like an off angle, they don't have to be near the center for it to get slowed. Just if it's damaging somebody, it slows down. You can also like throw it at the ground so that it just stays there and denies that space. That's quite good as well. His 2 is a point and click targeted stun. It does have a delay on it, but it'll stun basically everybody that's in that radius around them. So the enemy, if they want to try to retreat before the stun goes off, they have to be kind of conscious not to like walk the stun into their teammates. The 3, I think there's a better place that we can show this off, but the 3 basically gives your basic attacks chain lightning. So his normal gun is just this assault rifle, right? But if we activate this, you'll see that the other 2 guys are getting ricocheting spirit lightning damage. And it's really, really good for like clearing out waves and for farming camps and pushing towers and just generally dealing damage to a lot of people in a team fight. It's quite good. And then his 4 is Again, kind of the pub stomp king, where like he gets in the middle of a big team fight, he goes up in the air, he pushes forward, and it just does a tremendous amount of damage to everybody in the area. So, I mean, things to think about, like when you do that for, you are particularly vulnerable. Somebody could like, you know, CC you, they could buy knockdown, they could do all of these kind of things. But like early on, when people aren't thinking about counter items or aren't thinking critically about that kind of stuff, it's really reliable to just like jump in, put a stun on somebody, do the ultimate, and you know, if the ultimate's positioned well, like a bunch of people are going to die. His kit is just really well positioned to do all kinds of things. If he needs to be like that farming hero who's constantly farming, the power surge, the chain lightning is really, really good for farming camps and pushing waves. If he needs to be that like brawly, almost a supporty kind of hero, there are builds where he'll spec really hard into the AoE stun. He'll get like a refresher to be able to reduce, he can like reduce the cooldown, he can eventually refresh it to get another stun on it. He can increase the radius of it so that it stuns more people. That's quite good. And sometimes he's just like an AP ult bot where he just buys a ton of spirit damage, pushes 4, and a lot of the times, especially if you're like in the newer player lobbies, he's just gonna kill people. So I am putting him in the you already know how to play this hero tier. Pretty self-explanatory if you ask me. Up next we have Shiv, who has been my baby girl for the past like couple weeks or so. His abilities are honestly like pretty straightforward. His 1 is a knife, he throws it out, it's a line skill shot, and if it lands, it does a bleed on a target. His 2 is a dash, he dashes through people, and it does a lot of damage, frankly. And then his 4 is an execute. If the opponent is below a certain like health percentage, they'll get this little animation on them, and you'll know that it's time to use the ult and just execute him. And then his 3 is bloodletting, where if he takes damage, he basically staggers some of the incoming damage. I might need to take more damage faster to really highlight this point. Alright, so these are hurting me. You notice this like purple bar? This is the bloodletting damage, right? So if I hit 3, then I'll heal some amount of that damage that is being deferred. Basically, he takes some percentage of the incoming damage immediately. He defers some percentage of it, and then when you activate bloodletting, you purge some of the deferred damage, which just makes him significantly tankier. But there is a good amount of nuance with this character, so I'm gonna build up Rage. It's faster if I just charge punch him. Okay, when he's at full rage, his abilities work a little bit differently. So his 1 will ricochet to another target and bleed a second person. His 2 will have an after image that will also dash through. And his bloodletting purges a little bit more damage, right? So everything about this character just gets a little bit better when he's in rage. I think the other thing to keep in mind that makes him a little bit more complex is his alt fire. So he has a left click, which is just a regular shotgun, but his right click shoots 3 shells at one time, and you notice it like pushes him back. You can use this in a lot of interesting ways, where like you'll slide and then you'll sort of flick behind you to carry momentum, right? Which is particularly good because like in Deadlock, when you're sliding, you don't use any ammo, right? And there's a lot of other interesting stuff you could do where like, let's say I just jump off this wall. Okay, I didn't go very far. But if I do like shotgun jump off the wall, then he goes like much further, right? So there's like a lot of interesting like weird movement tech that you can do just by unlocking this right click. And that combined with some of the rage mechanics makes me want to put him in a slightly higher tier. Again, I don't think his abilities are like hard to wrap your head around, but like being conscious of like how much rage you have, you know, trying to like hold some of your cooldowns to like get into rage and then use your knife, then use your dash, so you're getting more value out of them. Really making the most of that right click movement. I think there is a lot to be like uncovered underneath the like relative simplicity of his kit. Up next we have Sinclair, and this character almost makes me want to create another like tier entirely, and I might actually do it. He's so fucking difficult. So his 1 is on the surface, just like a skill shot. You shoot it, it goes out, it deals damage in an area around it, right? But it's a vector, so you can change where it's going after you shoot it. So you shoot it in this angle, and then I target this guy, and then it goes and redirects towards him. So you could like do it around like geometry, right? You could like harass people behind stuff. But I've always found this to be like kind of difficult and finicky to control personally. His 2 is his assistant. He puts her out, and then whenever he shoots something, the assistant also shoots the same target, right? It's particularly good, but that's not all it does, right? So he does this, we're shooting the same target, and then if somebody tries to look at me, I can swap places with it, and then I can swap places with it again. Trying to catch a really, really good Sinclair feels fucking impossible. It's so annoying. His 3, he does a little AoE. It turns everybody in the AoE into tiny little bunny rabbits. It's really just good crowd control. It's honestly like the easiest part of his kit. And then his 4 is the ability to copy anybody else's ultimate. So we just used it on Infernus. We saw his ultimate earlier. Boom, we use Infernus's ultimate. The thing is that like often if you're using it on the more powerful ultimates in the game, I'm thinking like Mo and Krill, I'm thinking like Dynamo, I'm thinking like Kelvin. Those ultimates, because they're so powerful, usually have like really long cooldowns on them. Sinclair will be able to use those ultimates like more often than those characters will be able to. But between like the vectoring of the projectiles, the navigating like the double teleport with the assistant, and having to know like everybody's ultimate in the game, basically, I'm gonna just say this guy is like honestly one of the hardest characters. I'm just at a row below. Yeah, that's about appropriate. Up next we have Victor. This character is pretty interesting. He's definitely like one of the tankiest characters in the game. His 1, he shoots out a cone. It deals spirit damage to the people in the area, and it also heals him based on some of the targets that are hit. His 2 does a little bit of damage to him in the short term, but heals up the damage after the fact. This is particularly important because he can only use his 1 if he has received a certain amount of damage. So he's encouraged to take a little bit of damage and then use this to get the health back. This is just like a nice way to fuel that. And eventually there will be a point where like this heals you for more than the damage that it deals. So there is like utility to it on its own. The 3 does damage in an area around you, but also deals damage to you. And this damage will ramp up. So the longer that you have this activated, the more damage it's going to do. So you're kind of incentivized to like turn it on when you get into a fight and then leave it on. And then you ask yourself like, okay, there's all of these like self-damaging aspects to him. What is it that makes him so tanky? I mean, part of it is the ability to heal himself based off of some of the damage that he does. But another big thing is his ultimate. So his ultimate, I'm not honestly sure how I'm going to be able to show it off, but when you kill him, he's got like a phoenix thing. So you kill him, he respawns right in place like a couple of seconds later, and it does like a big AoE stun around him. So again, he's kind of incentivized to run into the enemy team, deal a bunch of damage, and then even if he dies, he's just like threatening to stun the team if they don't like move out of the radius. So very, very tanky. He can kind of be like this weird hybrid tank carry character because he has a lot of good tools, like especially in this, to be able to farm camps quickly. His gun is decent. It's kind of like an assault rifle, right? So it's not the most incredible gun in the world, but it's decent. And the character's kit, I mean, it just reaches a point late game where like you have to have some kind of anti-heal because he feels absolutely impossible to kill if you just let him get away with it. So I think like with all of the self-damaging stuff, he's like harder than people kind of think about him. But I think his abilities, like there's nothing unintuitive about them. So I'm kind of putting him in this 6 to 10 category. I have been in this lobby talking about Deadlock characters for almost 2 hours. Get me the fuck out of here, bro. Vindicta. So she is honestly pretty self-explanatory. She has an assault rifle. I know it looks like she has a sniper rifle. That's a lie. It's fully auto. She has a 1, she throws out a stake, and then it tethers people to a location. They can't move out of the radius, it'll lock them in place. So that's quite good. She has a 2 that's very similar to Great Talons. She goes up in the air, she can float up here, and it gives her... It doesn't like modify the way her gun fires like it does for a Great Talon, where it gives him the spread fire. This, it's still the same assault rifle, but it does deal increased damage. Like here, you're only seeing physical damage with the orange numbers on the side. Up here, if I do this, you see that there's like purple numbers as well because it's dealing some spirit damage too. Her 3 is a crow. She sends it out. It's a dot. It's a dot. It does damage over time. It's a dot. And then her 4 is the snipe. You see, it kind of has like the TF2 sniper thing where you got to let the ring fill up. So you can't just like quick scope somebody. I mean, technically you could, but you really want for it to charge up because it does more damage. If they're below a certain amount of health, it's kind of like Shiv where... Oh, that's not that animation. It's kind of like Shiv where it'll just execute people. Right. So, this character is honestly pretty approachable.
Stay right there.
Let's see, where did I have her on this list? I disagree with where I had like a planned out list before. I think, like, honestly, you could learn this character in 1 to 5 games. I think the only thing that is challenging, just to show you where she's at, I think the only thing that's challenging is that she's kind of dependent upon hitting these snipes. So if you're not very good with a sniper rifle, then that is a learning curve that you'll have to adjust to. But every other part of this kit is like fairly self-explanatory. There's not a whole lot to learn about her. Viscous is a goo man. He's got a 1, he throws it out, it does damage in an AoE, and then eventually once you put points into it, the puddle that it leaves will also deal damage over time. Unless I'm tripping. Am I bugging? No, I'm tripping, I'm bugging. Does it slow? Oh, okay, the puddle gives a movement speed slow. Okay. And then once you put points into it, it does bounce 2 times. That's neat. His 2 is a cube. He can target himself. And it basically makes him immune. You can't deal damage to him. And it also heals whoever's inside. Or you can do it to an ally. So you can heal some of your allies or get them out of some sticky situations by putting them into a stickier situation, in a way. Because he's goo. He's also got 3, which is a puddle punch. You see that it's got the arrow here because it will knock them up into the air. Unless you put it on a wall. Then it will knock you away from it. I think... I could be mistaken, but I think this literally acts as a punch. It's a melee damage, so I've heard that you can parry this, but I'm not sure if it stuns him like a normal melee being parried would, or if that's not how it works. I don't know, because I can never successfully remember to actually parry it. The 4th ability, the ultimate, is kind of like Pangalier's ultimate in Dota. He becomes a ball. He's a super monkey ball in it. He rolls around. He bounces off of walls. It stuns people when he runs into them. And if you're in some geometry like this, you can do this annoying ass shit where you just bounce off of the walls 1,000 times over and chain stun people. It is a little bit hard to control, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, I think he is honestly pretty hard, and I think like once this next patch comes out, he's going to go back to being particularly hard. He's somewhat easier right now because so much of his strength is in just how good and how reliable his gun is. A lot of the Viscous builds are just pure orange gun Viscous. He's got this alt fire which does big damage, but honestly I don't even see people use that because the regular fire on it is already so good. But there is like weird stuff that he gets to do with like the puddle punches, sending him flying. The goo cube, if you use it at the wrong time, will like slide downstairs and it can put people in bad positions. So I do think there's a significant learning curve, but I guess I'm going to rate him like he doesn't have this gun build where like all of the power is in his left click. I think he's probably on the harder end of the spectrum. You can make an argument for either one of these, even in the absence of the gun build. I'm gonna put him here. I think that's probably more fair because he's not really quite on the level of like Holliday or Paradox or Pocket or Paige. A lot of P's in that category. Eh? Up next we have Vyper, who is the uncontested best girl in the game. Don't at me. One of the like interesting things is she has this passive. It's an innate trait that just makes her slide better. So like if she's sliding down things, I think she has like slightly less friction than normal, but it looks pretty normal. The thing is that she can slide up things without any penalty, which is very, very different. And of course, having good sliding means you have like more ammo in this game, because while you're sliding, you have infinite ammo. Pretty cool. Her one is a skill shot. You throw it at people, and then it does spirit damage. It also applies a movement speed slow, and apparently it seems to stack. I actually didn't know that. So if you do it again, it slows even more. That's interesting. I did not know that. Her two is kind of like this execute, where it does more damage based on the difference between when you used it and when it actually triggers. I believe that's correct. After delay, the venom triggers, dealing spirit damage. The damage is increased by the target's missing health. Oh no, it's not. It's not a difference thing. It's just if they have a low amount of health. So you do it. You use an ability on people. You target them, and then when they detonate, it does a lot of damage if they have like only a little bit of health. She is very, very strong in the laning phase, because if somebody's even like half health, you just train them. You use two, you use one, you hit them a bunch, and then even if they get away, they're going to die from the detonation. She's very, very strong early on. Her four, she throws out a stun, it hits somebody, it stuns them in place. It does a healthy amount of damage, so again, you could like do like that kind of stuff and just combo somebody down. She is very, very bursty. She does tend to fall off the later that the game goes. And her gun, it's like fully auto, yes, but it has like a decent amount of spread to it, so like even from this range, I'm not really doing a lot of damage. I have to be like kind of this close, and yeah, even from this range, it's like okay, but you have to get pretty up close and personal with the targets. You can't do anything from like that range. Her abilities are not particularly hard. I think like fully getting the most out of the sliding stuff is hard, but really like the biggest leverage is doing a lot of pressure early game with the like 1-2-3 combo that she has, which I think is relatively easy to do. So I'm gonna put her in like 1 to 5. You can make the argument that she's 6 to 10, because if you're like brand new to the game, you kind of have to get accustomed to like sliding a lot and getting the most out of the infinite ammo. In fact, I'll just stick her there. I think that's probably a little bit more fair. Up next we have Warden. Warden, he is kind of a stamina check. If you're not familiar, stamina are these pips underneath your reticle that allow you to use some of the advanced movement options. The reason he's a stamina check, we'll just talk about it first, is his 3. You put it on somebody, it puts an arena around them, and then if they don't leave that area within the amount of time, it'll stun them and lock them in place. A lot of the times, if you get like stunned by this, then you just die. So it's really, really imperative they're able to preferably get out of the radius, or if they I'm talking about like playing against Warden, you want to try to get out of the radius, or if you are able to like get behind an obstacle, like behind that pillar right there to where a teammate can help fight the Warden off, then that's maybe sometimes that's the best you can do. But it's a stamina check. You want to have stamina so that you can get out of it. Speaking of stamina checks, this flask that he throws out, it does spirit damage in an AoE, but it also eats a stamina off of somebody that's being hit. So if you like do this and then you flask them, it makes it really annoying for them to try to get out of the situation. Or I guess really you would want to flask somebody and then do that so that they don't even have a window where they can use the stamina. His 2, it puts a shield on him. That's it, pretty self-explanatory. His 4, he does like a brief channel, he can't move during it, but then after this, he has like a big cone of damage around him, and he'll also leech some life based on the damage that he's doing to the targets. So, real talk, real easy character. A lot of his pressure just comes from the reliability of his gun. Again, he's a stamina check, so he'll like throw this, and he'll do this, and then if you get hit by it, you just shoot somebody in the head 17 times and they can't move, they can't do anything about it. If people are trying to commit on you, you push 2, it's a shield, and if there's like a fight and it seems like it's going to be in this particular area for a little while, then you can just use the ultimate. And so long as you've got like 2 or more targets in this area, A, you're doing a tremendous amount of damage, and B, you're basically like unkillable. So real easy character to pilot. I think feeling pretty confident putting him up in this. You already know how to play this character too. Up next we have Wraith. Wraith is probably like, I would say the most straightforward, easiest, like carry kind of character in the game. She's almost what you would expect as like a League of Legends carryover. Her one, she throws it out. It does magic damage in a radius. You notice that it's got this little bar above it. It's not like a cooldown that's recharging instantly. You have to deal damage with your gun to get another charge of it, and then she can throw it again. It's also guidable, so like if you throw it at somebody and then somebody's moving around, so long as you like keep your reticle trained on them, the card will like fly and chase them down. Really, really cool. Her 2, she throws a card in a direction, and then after a brief delay, she'll teleport in the direction. That's quite good. Her 3 is just an auto attack stim. You use it, and then she shoots her gun faster. Pretty self-explanatory. And then her 4 is, I'm gonna kill that guy right there. You target somebody, it lifts them up, knocks them down, stuns them, and then I think this is a slow after. Silence and disarmed. Oh, so they're silenced and disarmed after the fact. Yeah, so it's like a, hey, that guy right there, I'm gonna kill him. The thing is, you'll notice that if I do it again, there's like a projectile that travels towards the target. If the target is particularly fast, if they have like fleet foot, if they're cat form Ava, if they're on a zip line, if they're like boosting on the zip line, you know, if they're moving really fast, they can like get away from the ultimate. It'll eventually catch them anyway, but they can get to a safe position where like you aren't able to keep up, you aren't able to like fully capitalize on the stun, the disarm, the silence. But really, this character, she shoots people. Sometimes she'll throw a 1. If she needs to move out of a situation, she'll throw a card. If she's like farming, or if she's pushing, or if she's attacking a tower, if she's trying to put pressure on a hero, she'll push 3 before she shoots her gun, just to give herself a bit of a stim. There's not a whole lot to really talk about with this character. She is one of the easier characters to play for sure. And then finally we have Yamato, who is one of the weirdos of the game. She has a bunch of weird abilities. So she has 1, she sort of charges up, and then after a delay she'll do a slice. She can do this early if she just needs to relocate, but you really get the most value out of charging up and then doing the big slice. And you can almost think of it as like a Grey Talon one, but much closer range, right? Her 2 is a point and click gap closer. You go to the target and then you slash them a little bit. And then her 3 is an AoE slash that will steal a little bit of life back from them when you deal damage with it. It also, let's see, it reduces fire rate. I actually didn't know that. So it will debuff some of these left clicking type characters to help you deal with them. Her ult is a little bit weird. She uses it, and she's intangible for a minute, and then when she goes into this shadow form, she has increased physical and magical resistance, so she's much tankier. The real thing is that it also resets her cooldowns, so she can sort of like do a big slash, gap close, slash again, shadow form, and then she slash again if they're getting away, then you can gap close again. I'm pretty sure it also makes her abilities more powerful, right? Abilities are refreshing or 60% faster. Okay, I kind of count that as more powerful. She is another one of these like brawlic, early skirmishy type of characters. Oh yeah, her gun is kind of weird too. It doesn't look like it's that strong, but it's honestly very, very good. It's kind of like, it's almost like a slower Calico gun where it's got like that cone of interest and it's fully auto. But she also has this alt fire, which is like a bomb she throws out that does damage in an AoE, which is situationally useful as well. So weird character. I think kind of difficult to learn to get the most out of her because these tools are a little bit unintuitive. You have to really know like who you can go on and what situations you can go in on them, and you have to land everything. And yeah, I think a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to put her in this like 11 to 15 category. And this is the list. If you skip to the end of the video, this is what you're looking for. Let me know if you agree, if you disagree, if I'm a big dumb idiot, if you hate me, if you're coming to kill me, you know where I live. Yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this patch is soon, and then we can talk about all these new heroes. I'm really looking forward to it. All right. Peace out, everyone.